Hey guys, long time no see, am I right? So today I'm going to be talking about my TBR. Now at first I was going to do an April TBR, but considering how I wanted to change my reading this year and the fact I've only read one book so far, I decided I'm just going to do a 2022 TBR, so that's what you're going to see today. So the first book is actually one I'm currently reading, and that is The Spanish Love Deception. Catalina Martin desperately needs a date to her sister's wedding, especially since her little white lie about her American boyfriend has spiraled out of control. Now everyone she knows, including her ex and his fiancé, will be there and eager to meet him. She has only 4 weeks to find someone willing to cross the Atlantic and aid in her deception. New York to Spain is no short flight, and her raucous family won't be easy to fool. Enter Aaron Blackford, her tall, handsome, condescending colleague, who surprisingly offers to step in. She'd rather refuse. Never has there been a more aggravating, blood-boiling, and insufferable man. But Catalina is desperate, and as the wedding draws nearer, Aaron looks like her best option, and she begins to realize he might not be as terrible in the real world as he is at the office. So far, it is really good. I have been struggling with reading. Like, that's a big part of the whole reason why I made that video on my 2022 reading goals and, things about my channel and everything. The fact that I'm considering almost not even doing much to do with BookTube, that I'm gonna expand, just really more talk about movies and everything, which is kind of a bummer. It's still a nice thing because I do very much care about movies and I'm very passionate about that, but it's also this is the whole reason I started this channel. I wanted to talk about books. I have so many books and it's just my love of books has kind of been waning, and I'm getting rid of my collection. That's why I've got a Depop, which I will do a little video promo on that. But yeah, it's I've fallen out of reading and it's made me pretty sad. I'm kind of bummed about that because it's I do like to read. It's fun. And it's at first I thought it was, oh, since I started BookTube, I've been more critical. Maybe that's it. If I stop doing what BookTube wants, if I take a break from BookTube, or if I change how things go with reading, maybe that'll change. And I don't know if that's really the case. But now that I've started this book, I think I've figured it out. Now, this is an adult romance book. And really, I read young adult. And I think that's it. I'm 21 now. I started this channel when I was 19, so I was still a teen. Obviously an older teen, I'm not going to relate to people going to high school because then I was done with high school. But I think it really is the fact, when I started aging out of other reading groups, children's, middle grade, that sort of thing, I didn't care. It wasn't a big deal. I was yeah, I'm ready to get into something older. I'm ready to be more mature. But with young adult, it was really near and dear to my heart. I really liked it. I thought adult was boring, more of this totally formal, you can't have any fun. Yeah, I just thought young adult was it. I thought that was the only thing I could do, and I think that's what's been happening. I think since I started my BookTube channel, and especially since I started my BookTube channel, since I've aged out of of being a teen, I think I realized I'm done. Young adult isn't it for me anymore, and I think I've been very much in denial about that because now that I've aged out of reading teen stories, and it certainly doesn't help that I read about 16 books before I started my BookTube channel in 2019, and then 2020 is when I started. I read 58 books and then 66 books, so that's so much more. And I read occasionally for a couple of years. 7th grade was when I read a lot. That would have to be the closest I've come to reading a lot of books. But I think, yeah, I've just realized that while yes, I can find some gems, there are still some young adult books I do like. I still like The Fifth Wave. I did a reread in December and I still liked it. It just seems like that isn't it for me. And I think also, I used to only read romance books. I thought if a book doesn't have romance, it's not going to do it for me. And I didn't read anything that didn't have at least a little bit of romance. But I think now I'm kind of disillusioned by romance. And so now I can't really read romance, or at least most romances, especially teen romances. That's what it seems like, that I read a lot of contemporary books. But a lot of them are contemporary romance. And I think that's it, that I just am over it. The insta-love is stupid, immature, that sort of thing. And yeah, I just seem to be over it. And I think I've just been in denial about it. I'm very sad about it. And I just have to accept it. One reason I thought the reason I wasn't liking books as much was BookTube. I was being critical, whatever, maybe that's it. And then I thought, oh, well, I've been on social media a lot. Maybe that has just made me distracted. I'm not fully focused on it. Maybe if I take a break from that, I can focus better. And that really didn't seem to be the case either. And yeah, it's just young adult isn't it for me anymore. Does that mean I won't read young adult books ever? Probably not. But it seems like I should be moving up, going to adult stories. There are some stories I don't want to read, like erotica. I want nothing to do with. Adult fantasy? Probably not, because I'm not into fantasy anyway. But yeah, I just have to accept that I've grown and, you know, young adult doesn't cut it anymore. But I think now that I've fully realized that, that's it. Yeah, so I think it's really good that I started reading this book. I'm really appreciative that there was BookTube hype about it and everyone on Book Twitter was talking about it. I am really grateful to this book. The only other book I read this year was Believe Me. Like I said, that wasn't good. It was a young adult book. It was in the Shatter Me series, which I absolutely hate. So, you know, it was just more of those things. I got it as a gift, so I'm like, okay, I'll read it. You know, get it out of the way. I'm gonna sell the series. You know, so it's more of a get it out of the way. It wasn't like I thought I could really enjoy it. But I didn't enjoy it. Like, the reading experience wasn't good. And then I start this book and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, I really enjoyed this book. I will have to be honest, the first chapter was a bore. It was immature. The girl seemed so kiddish. It's like, this girl is an adult. What is happening? I thought, man, maybe people are right, because there's a lot of people that love this book and a lot of people that hate this book, and I'm like, oh, please don't tell me I want to read this book and it turns out to be bad too. But so far, it is great. I'm on like page 100 and it's so good. I wish it wasn't as long as it is. It's like 437 pages, but it's good. I'm enjoying it. I started in like the first day of April, but there have been some days I haven't read. So it's not like, oh, it's taking me forever to read. Like, yes, it is taking a long time because it's a 437 page book. It's gonna be long, but I am going through this pretty fast. Faster than usual, because I'm definitely a slower reader. But yeah, I just love this book a lot. I'm really appreciative it exists, and I look forward to getting through the whole story. And then I know the author, she's got a new book coming out this year. So if I end up liking this book as much as I like it right now, I will definitely read the sequel. The next book is The Hookup Dilemma. Rashida Howard has never been a one-night stand kind of woman, but she has good reason for making an exception with Elliot after meeting him in a bar. Cliché? Yes. Utterly amazing? Absolutely. Regrets? None. Elliot Quinn is a workaholic. The one night he decides to break his routine, he has an encounter with the woman of his dreams. But no matter how amazing they are together, work will always come first. Both of their lives get turned upside down when they find themselves on opposite sides of an ongoing fight between Elliot's company and Rashida's community. Though their chemistry is undeniable, neither of them will risk their integrity or their heart. And just when they think they might have found a solution that benefits both sides, they uncover a secret that will change everything. So this is actually the book I started first. I got The Spanish Love Deception and The Hookup Dilemma at the same time. At first I started this book. I got to chapter 2. So page 13. And yeah, it's like 300 something pages. So far, not so good. It's very insta-lovey. I really hate this guy. I think he's kind of a perv. He's just like, you know, he sees this girl, it ends up being the main character, but he sees this girl and he sees her for like 2 seconds. And he's at this bar, whatever. He then pulls out this napkin and he just draws her. It's like, dude, what? No normal person is like, oh my gosh, I just saw the prettiest girl. I'm gonna draw her. You don't even know her. Like, if you were in love with her, it'd still be weird, but at least there could be some understanding that you care about this person. It's just freaky. I hate it so much. And it's like, I'm supposed to root for him? I don't think so. Just so far, it's not really interesting. And the more I think about the concept, the less interested I am. At first, when I was thinking about getting it, I was like, oh, this could be cute, you know? But now, the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I don't know. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna read it. After I finish The Spanish Love Deception, it might be that I end up reading it. And I never know. You know what? It might end up being, I really like this book too. If I, you know, like, I'll give it a little bit more time. If it comes to the fact that this is just a drag, it's boring, I hate it here, yes, I'll stop. Because I'm not gonna force myself through a story like I have for way too long. The way I've been reading books since I started BookTube is no more, I'm done. You know, if I don't like it, I'm gonna DNF. And so we'll see about this book. If you never hear about it again, that means I've stopped reading. So we shall see. The next book is Because You Love to Hate Me. So this book is a collaboration between all of these authors and then in collaboration with 13 booktubers. Leave it to the heroes to save the world. Villains just want to rule the world. In this unique anthology, 13 acclaimed best-selling authors team up with 13 influential booktubers to reimagine the origin stories of the villains we love to hate. Infamous foes from fairy tales, mythology, and brand new worlds. Based on comic book-inspired enemies and pop culture, and classics such as Medusa from Greek mythology, Moriarty from Sherlock Holmes, and the Giant from Jack and the Beanstalk, these fractured, unconventional spins retell each character's story in an original, unexpected way. This behind-the-curtain look at villains explores the pain, heartbreak, and sorrow that set them on the road to bad, and questions whether or not anyone is truly born evil. No fairy tale will ever seem quite the same again. So, I had tried to read this, I think it was last year, and I you know, like it's saying, like, it's like short stories. I was trying to read, like, in order, and it just wasn't working for me. Like, the first story, I was really confused. It didn't make sense. I just was not hooked in any capacity, but I just think it could be cool to try it out, and especially these days where I kind of like a short story, or at least I'd like to get through something fast, at least if it's like, oh, this story isn't that fun, well, you know, it's gonna be over in like 2 pages, so I hope that will work out. It's definitely a very pretty cover, just all around. It could be really cool. If the book is good, I will be very happy, and if it is not so good, unfortunately, I won't be surprised. The next book I want to read is actually a collection of books, and that is the rest of the Folk of the Air trilogy. And so that starts us off with The Wicked King. So that's book 2. And I'm just gonna read off of this because I don't know where the Cruel Prince is. So if you haven't read the Cruel Prince and you don't want spoilers, just please skip to this point. You must be strong enough to strike and strike again without tiring. The first lesson is to make yourself that strong. Jude has bound the wicked King Cardan to her and made herself the power behind the throne. Navigating the constantly shifting political alliances of Fairy would be difficult enough if Cardan were biddable, but he does everything in his power to humiliate and undermine her, even as his fascination with her remains undiminished. When it becomes all too clear that someone close to Jude means to betray her, threatening her life and the lives of everyone she loves, Jude must uncover the traitor and fight her own complicated feelings for Cardan to maintain control as a mortal in a fairy world. So, I have the whole series. So these are the books I haven't read yet. So there's The Wicked King, The Queen of Nothing, and How the King of Elfane Learned to Hate Stories. So, The Cruel Prince, I did not like whatsoever. I did not like the political intrigue. I don't understand why people are so hyped about the series. I really don't understand. Again, I have all the books, so it's one of those things where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get my money's worth. You know, it's just one of those things, so we'll see. You know, will I read it this year? Hopefully. If I don't, not a big deal. Like, you know, I could kind of care less. Like, part of me, I like the romance, or at least I like a little of the romance. I don't know. Like, Cardan, obviously at first he was a total jerk and I didn't like him. Well, it was one of those things where it's like, obviously he's doing bad things, but I usually have a soft spot for the fictional love interests, and he's definitely one of those that I have a soft spot for. And he definitely grew on me as the book went on, and he was actually like in an alliance with Jude, and he seemed cool. And then of course Jude, just ripped the rug right under him, and it's like, what? Like that whole plot twist, the whole reason it's just the decisions that were made I don't like, but I will just have to see how the Wicked King goes, and then, get to the Queen of Nothing. I'll get to that, and then I'll get to the little illustrated thing, because that's part of this. So there's like illustrations and stuff. Obviously, I picked one of the most dreary illustrations of all time. Wow, there are some dreary ones. Well, at least this is somewhat semi-interesting? I don't know. Again, maybe this is just one of those times where the book hype is just, it's not for me. I'm just gonna have to see what happens. If I read it, I read it. If I don't, not a big deal. The next book I want to read is Life in Colors. Now, this is a book that I got from a family friend. She gave it to me for like my high school graduation. I kind of almost feel like this probably wasn't even meant for me, or maybe it was like a re-gifting, because A Guide to Understanding Your Children, Your Partner, and Yourself. I am basically a kid. I am barely an adult. I am not married. I do not have kids. Like, I'm a little like, why? I don't personally get it, but so this book is about just as no one has ever learned to drive a car simply by reading the manual, growth in understanding ourselves and others involves an active, participatory, and continuous journey. The insights of colors is one half awareness and one half choosing to value others for who they are instead of wanting them to be more like ourselves. It's not a book I'm actually that interested in, but it's kind of like, hey, I have the book, maybe I'll read it. You know, it's just this whole thing where I really want to overcome my physical TBR, and so that's kind of what you're seeing here. I'm just kind of, you know, my 2022 TBR really is my physical TBR. The other books that I don't have on my physical TBR, I'm probably not going to mention because it's like, well, maybe I'll get to them. But my first priority really is my physical TBR. So again, with this book, I didn't pick it out. It was gifted to me. I'm kind of guessing it was regifted, but, you know, maybe I'll read it. The next book I want to read is Superman Dawnbreaker. Now, I really haven't stayed up to date with DC, and I'm talking like the movies. I'm not interested in them, honestly. Like the old time DC, like Superman. I liked that. Christopher Reeve was really great. I watched Smallville. I really liked Smallville. It was a good show. It stayed past its welcome, but, you know, it's still really fun. So Superman has a very special place in my heart. I really like Superman. So it was actually the hype of Smallville that got me to pick up this book. So this book follows Superman in high school. So his power is beyond imagining. Clark Kent has always been faster, stronger, better than everyone around him. But he wasn't raised to show off, and drawing attention to himself could be dangerous. Plus, it's not like he's earned his powers yet, but power comes with a price. Lately, it's becoming more difficult to hold back and keep his heroics in the shadows. When Clark follows the sound of a girl crying, he comes across Gloria Alvarez and learns that a dark secret lurks in Smallville. Turns out, Clark's not the only one hiding something. Teaming up with his best friend, Lana Lang, he throws himself into the pursuit of the truth. What evil lies below the surface of a small town, and what will it cost Clark to face the truth about his past as he steps into the light to become the future Man of Steel? Before he can save the world, he must save Smallville. I think it could definitely be fun. You know, I do like the old Superman movies. It's nice to see Superman and Clark Kent, you know, as him as a grown-up, but I also like Smallville, him as a teenager in high school and everything like that. And so that's what I'm gonna get here. I am very much looking forward to this. I really haven't heard any reviews though, so I'm not sure. But considering I really like Clark Kent, Superman, all of that, I am very much looking forward to this one. The next book I want to read is Eve of Man. As the first girl born in 50 years, Eve has been kept away from the opposite sex all her life. But at 16, she must now face her destiny. 3 potential males have been selected for her. The future of humanity is in her hands. She's always accepted her fate, until she meets Bram. Suddenly, Eve wants control over her life. She wants freedom. But how do you choose between love and the future of the human race? And then on the back, it says, against all odds, she survived. The first girl born in 50 years. They called her Eve. And first off, I will say this cover is beautiful. It is really nice. Ooh! And there's some texture on it, which is really cool. Yeah, I just think it could be a very interesting story. It is one of those complicated ones, isn't it? Because it's like, well, once everyone dies, you know, the human race is extinct if you don't do something. But it's also like, hey, I have a right to make my own decisions. So it's like, that's a fairly good moral dilemma. So I kind of wonder how these 2 authors will, you know, figure it out, like how they will explore that sort of dilemma and that sort of journey and story. It just sounds very interesting. I'm all about sci-fi, and so I think this could be a really good book. Yeah, really. How do you choose between love and the future of the human race? It's a very, very fair point and question, because it's like, well, if you use your head, it's like, well, duh, the human race. But then it's like, in your heart, you're like, well, I care about this person, but also I have a right to say no. So it's a very, very fair point. The next book is The Cipher. What if you held the key to unlock all the internet's secrets? Robert Smiles Smiley is not a genius. He feels like he's surrounded by them, though, from his software mogul dad to his brainy girlfriend to his oddball neighbor Ben, a math prodigy. When Ben cracks an ancient real-life riddle central to modern data encryption systems, he suddenly holds the power to unlock every electronic secret in the world, and Smiles finally has a chance to prove his own worth. Smiles hatches a plan to protect Ben from the government agents who will stop at nothing to get their hands on his discovery. But as he races from a Connecticut casino to the streets of Boston, enlisting the help of an alluring and brilliant girl, Smiles comes to realize the most explosive secrets don't lie between the covers of Ben's notebook. They're buried in his own past. So, I tried to read this also last year, and I just wasn't that interested. Now, it might be young adult, but kind of read more middle grade, to be honest. So, I'm not too sure about this book. And also, this is really embarrassing, but the only reason I got this book was because of the title, The Cipher. And I got it because of Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls. And I know that's a really, really, really dumb reason to get a book. Like, why not just get something Gravity Falls related? And now, obviously, I do have some Gravity Falls related stuff. But, yeah, it's kind of like, why would you do that? Why would you get a book if you're not even really interested in it? But I do like sci-fi. Secrets and mystery could be interesting. So, I am not too sure. But who knows? This book might actually surprise me. So, to be decided. Next book is Luckiest Girl Alive. Her perfect life is a perfect lie. As a teenager at the prestigious Bradley School, Annie Finelli endured a shocking public humiliation that left her desperate to reinvent herself. Now, with a glamorous job, expensive wardrobe, and handsome blue blood fiancé, she's this close to living the perfect life she's worked so hard to achieve. But Annie has a secret. There's something else buried in her past. Something painful and private that threatens to bubble to the surface and ruin everything. With a singular voice and twist you won't see coming, Luckiest Girl Alive introduces a heroine whose cutthroat ambition has protected a scandalous truth, and a heart that's much bigger than it appears. The question remains, will breaking her silence destroy all that she has worked for, or will it, at long last, set Annie free? This book, I don't know. It is an adult book. So considering the fact that I have started reading adult books more, and by adult books more, I mean I've started reading one book, but that might mean that if I like The Spanish Love Deception, maybe I will also like this book. I'm not too sure about it though, because I got to about page 32. I got to 32 pages of this book. I've tried to read it twice. The first time I read it, I was like, oh my gosh, like this girl, she will not stop with her cussing. And I really don't have a problem with cussing, but sometimes it's like it really had no purpose. It was just kind of like, oh, look at me. I'm just spouting off curse words. And it's like, okay. And she didn't even do it in a funny way. Like, give some good dynamic or something, girl. Alright, so my camera died. So back to what I was saying. The main character, she just seems like such a jerk. And I understand there are some people, they like unlikable characters, and maybe that's where this story is going, but just so far from what I know about it, I'm really regretting buying it. Time will tell if I like it or not, if I even read it. Maybe I'll just watch the movie, or maybe I'll watch the movie then read the book if I actually like the movie. Even though it's an adult book, I'm not too sure I'll like it. The next book is American Royals. When America won the Revolutionary War, its people offered General George Washington a crown. 2.5 centuries later, the House of Washington still sits on the throne. Like most royal families, the Washingtons have an heir and a spare. Each child knows exactly what is expected of them, but these aren't just any royals, they're American. As Princess Beatrice gets closer to becoming America's first queen regnant, the duty she has embraced her entire life suddenly feels stifling. Nobody cares about the spare except when she's breaking the rules, so Princess Samantha doesn't care much about anything either, except the one boy who is off limits. Then there's Samantha's twin, Prince Jefferson. If he'd been born a generation earlier, he would have stood first in line for the throne, but the new laws of succession make him third. Most of America adores their handsome prince, but two very different girls are vying to capture his heart. New York Times bestselling author Catherine McGee imagines an alternate version of the modern world, one where the glittering age of monarchies has not yet faded, and where love is still powerful enough to change the course of history. So, this sounds like a very interesting book. Unfortunately, I did try reading this, I'd say in 2020. Looks like I got a few pages in. Maybe chapter 1? Yeah, like 14 pages in. So I have not made much progress. From what I did read about it though, I'm not too sure. Like, it could still be interesting. It is interesting to see alternate realities, an alternate universe where instead of it being there's a president and we, vote and everything, it's still monarchies and everything. I am definitely looking forward to it, even though the first time I tried reading it, it wasn't all that interesting. I still think it could be good. If it's good, I'll be very happy about it. If it disappoints me, I will be sad, but I'll move on. It's not like I'm so attached to this concept. The next book is one of the greatest books of all time, and that is Angel Fall. It's been 6 weeks since Angels of the Apocalypse descended to demolish the modern world. Street gangs rule the day while fear and superstition rule the night. When warrior angels fly away with a helpless little girl, her 17-year-old sister Penryn will do anything to get her back. Anything, including making a deal with an enemy angel. Raph is a warrior who lies broken and wingless on the street. After eons of fighting his own battles, he finds himself being rescued from a desperate situation by a half-starved teenage girl. Traveling through a dark and twisted Northern California, they have only each other to rely on for survival. Together they journey toward the Angel Stronghold in San Francisco, where Penryn will risk everything to rescue her sister, and Raph will put himself at the mercy of his greatest enemies for the chance to be made whole again. So, if you have not watched some of my earlier videos, I talk about Angel Fall, and it is my all-time favorite book, rated 5 stars. At first, my all-time favorite book was The Fifth Wave, but this one is definitely, it's worth it. It definitely surpasses The Fifth Wave. It's really great. So, I definitely wanted to reread it, especially since I'm giving away my books. I'm probably going to give away this trilogy, and so I'm like, hey, let's read it one more time. Let's see what happens. The first time I read it was 2016, so now it's been about 6 years since I read it. Is it gonna hold up? I'm not too sure about that. I really love this book though. There's this one scene in it that is just so amazing. I've never reread the book, but I do go back to that, like when I see it on my bookshelf, I go back to this scene because it's just really, really good. I know like the gore and stuff bothered me. That's why at first, even though I rated it 5 stars, I didn't think it was my all-time favorite book. But honestly, just Angel Fall is really good and just, yeah, I mean, to be fair, like The Fifth Wave and Angel Fall, they're pretty close in hand for like what I really like. So anyway, yeah, I'm gushing about this book. It's just so good. if you have a heart, if you have a soul, if you have a brain, you will read this book. It is so good. So again, I definitely want to reread this book this year. If I don't get to it, I will be sad, but you know. Yeah, it's a great book, and if you wanna, if you wanna get the book from me, check out my Depop. It's so good. You should read it. The next book is City of Beasts. If you see a beast and you have the shot, don't hesitate. Kill it. For 17 years, fees have lived separate from beasts. The division of sexes have kept the world peaceful. Glory Rhodes is like most other fees her age. She adores her neighborhoods, abandoned Costco, can bench her own body weight, and she knew 27 beast counterattack moves by the time she was 7. She has never questioned the separation of the sexes or the rules that keep her post-nuclear hometown safe. But when her mother secretly gives birth to a baby beast, Glory grows to love the child and can't help wondering what really is the difference between us and them. When her brother, at the age of 5, is snatched in a vicious raid, Glory and her best friend Sue do the unthinkable, covertly infiltrate the City of Beasts to get him back. What's meant to be a smash and grab job quickly becomes the adventure of a lifetime as the Fees team up with a fast-talking, t-shirt, cannon-wielding beast named Sway. And Glory starts to see that there's more to males and her own history than she's been taught. Glory, Sway, and a motley co-host of friends will go to the ends of the earth to find her little brother and maybe save their divided world while they're at it. So obviously this is a book that's kind of focused on the difference of the sexes, and there's this other book I have, The XY. I tried that book. I didn't like it so much, or at least so far it didn't seem that good. It does seem to be more sympathetic. The women seem more sympathetic to the men. So we'll see. It sounds like it could be good. I'm not too sure. But yeah, I really do like the cover. I think it's really good. Yeah, there's not too much I can really say about it, but it seems really nice. Alright, so my camera died again. It's been a couple hours. Things are happening, but I've got a couple more books, so let's get into it. The next book is Windfall. Alice doesn't believe in luck. At least, not the good kind. But she does believe in love. And for some time now, she's been pining for her best friend, Teddy. On his 18th birthday, just when it seems they might be on the brink of something, she buys him a lottery ticket on a lark. To their astonishment, he wins $140 million. And in an instant, everything changes. At first, it seems like a dream come true, especially since the two of them are no strangers to misfortune. As a kid, Alice won the worst kind of lottery possible when her parents died just over a year apart from each other, and Teddy's father abandoned his family not long after that, leaving them to grapple with his gambling debts. Through it all, Teddy and Alice have leaned on each other. But now, as they negotiate the ripple effects of Teddy's newfound wealth, a gulf opens between them, and soon the money starts to feel like more of a curse than a windfall. As they start to find their way back to each other, Alice learns more about herself than she ever could have imagined, and about the unexpected ways in which luck and love sometimes intersect. So, this book could be good. I got about this way through the last time I tried to read it. I am not too sure. It wasn't that interesting. None of the characters seem particularly interesting. Maybe it's just slow pacing. Maybe the characters get better. But from what I've read, I really am not looking forward to continuing it. But again, this is my physical TBR that I want to finish, so hopefully I can get through it. And the last book is The 100. No one has set foot on Earth in centuries until now. Ever since a devastating nuclear war, humanity has lived on spaceships far above Earth's radioactive surface. Now, 100 juvenile delinquents are being sent on a dangerous mission to recolonize the planet. It could be their second chance at life, or it could be a suicide mission. Clark was arrested for treason, though she's haunted by the memory of what she really did. Wells came to Earth for the girl he loves. But will she ever forgive him? Bellamy fought his way onto the transport pod to protect his sister, and Glass managed to escape, only to find that life on the ship is just as dangerous as she feared it would be on Earth. In a savage land, the 100 must fight to survive. They were never meant to be heroes, but they may be mankind's last hope. So, I tried the CW show. I didn't like it. I don't know, there was something kind of inauthentic about it, or just it did not work for me. I didn't like it. I guess I don't have any sticky tabs in here, but I did try to read this before. I don't know. I like sci-fi, but I don't like space as much as I did as a kid, so I don't know how I feel about this. I'm just gonna have to see. I don't have that many high hopes for it. I'm a little curious why in the world I even bought this book. But, you know, on my TBR, I'm gonna get through it, hopefully. So, I'm just gonna have to see if it's better than I expected. I hope it is. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's not. And those were the books for my 2022 TBR. Comment below what books you plan on reading this year. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye!